stitch number 18 is the berry stitch, and it looks like this. I don't know, does it look like little berries? Maybe. Here's another example, and I don't know if you can tell, but in some of these there's actually 3 layers. I'll show you what I mean by that. I have drawn some lines here on the fabric just to give me a guide for how long I want the first part of the stitch to be. You don't have to draw lines. Once you see how the stitch is put together, you'll see you don't really need it. So I come up from the back and I put my thumb on the thread so I don't pull the thread to the back, because I'm going to insert my needle back in the same hole, and then I come up inside the loop of the thread to make a lacy daisy stitch. And normally I would leave lacy daisy stitches sort of loose, but in this case I'm going to pull it quite tight and then secure it with a little stitch on the outside of the loop. And now I come up just above where I started the previous stitch, and again put my thumb on the thread, and then I insert my needle back down where I just came up, and I come up inside the loop of the thread just outside where I finished the previous one, and then I pull the thread so that the loop sits around the first stitch, and then I secure the stitch with a little tiny straight stitch. So let's do another one. Come up from the back, insert the needle back in the same hole to create a thread loop, and then I come up inside that loop, pull the thread and secure the loop with a tiny stitch across the loop, and then I come up just above where I started the previous stitch, insert the needle in the hole, come up inside of the thread loop just below the previous hole, the previous stitch, and pull the thread. So this is the basic berry stitch, but you can actually add another stitch to it. So come up again just above the previous stitch, insert the needle into the same hole, and then you come up inside the loop of the thread to make a third layer of the stitch. Like so. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to get the loops to sit neatly around each other, but here it looks okay. So let's try it on the alphabet sampler. So I've drawn a a few shapes here. I think I'll ignore them though, because I want to make sure that I start a stitch in the corner. So I come up in the corner of the R and pass the needle back down in the same hole, and then I come up inside the thread loop and secure the stitch. And I just realized that I shouldn't have come up right on the corner, because I want to come up outside of that. So don't do as I do. So this R is going to have a slightly wonky corner here, but never mind. So I come up just outside the first one, and then I insert the needle back, and then I come up just outside the previous one. Here we go. And I think I'm just going to stick to 2 layers in my berry stitches. So let's do another one. And this time I'm not going to come up right on the line. Going back down in the same hole. Try not to make the first stitch too big. The result is better when the first one is quite small. So this is maybe 3-4 millimeters long. And the one that sits outside it is then maybe 5 to 6 millimeters long. So let's do another one in the corner here, and this time I'm starting not right in the corner, and I think I'll go in the other direction. So make my thread loop and come up inside it, secure the first stitch, and then I can come up right on that corner. Insert the needle in the same hole, and then I come up inside the loop. Sometimes you have to guide the thread of the second stitch. Right, here we go. And this is another stitch or letter where if you can't quite fit another stitch into a gap, like this one for example, and if the gap bothers you, you can just do little cheat stitches. And depending on the size, so here it's large enough for a tiny little lazy daisy stitch, so that's what I'm going to put in there. But if it was a small gap, even smaller than what I had here, you could use a a straight stitch or maybe a couple of straight stitches next to each other. And again, as we've done on some of the other letters, you can fill in the edges with running stitch if you like. The tutorial you have just watched is part of a series of 31 stitch tutorials that I have made to go along with the pattern for this embroidery stitch sampler. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If you want to check out the pattern, you can find the link in the description. And whatever you're making, happy stitching.